Hi, I'm Rich with Inside HPC, and we're here at the Spectra Logic booth at SC11. I'm here with Molly Rector. You're the CMO of Spectra Logic. Molly, you guys had a number of big announcements last week, and we're standing next to a gigantic tape library. How big is this thing?
This library is a 6-frame T-Finity, and it stores about 15 to 20 petabytes of data. It's designed to scale all the way up to 3.6 exabytes of data, so it's Spectra's entrance into the exascale market.
Well, it wasn't a record, but you had the claim for the world's biggest storage device. Is this the baby right here?
This is the junior version of the highest capacity storage device. It would scale to 40 frames, which is over 120 feet long, and then we would connect 40 of those in a row in 8 data center rows, so you would have effectively a whole data center filled with one mammoth tape library.
So the robot in there would be on a 140-foot rail going back and forth?
It would, yeah. There's 2 robots in this system that go on rails back and forth and automatically retrieve file data to present it up to the storage system as inexpensive file storage. There's multiple robots in there to improve speed and to have redundancy to keep the system highly available.
And now, on the inside of this thing, I think we have a prop here. What I thought was interesting, why don't we get that, is the fact that not only can you just load one tape at a time, but now you've got this cartridge that greatly reduces the cycle time to load huge blocks of data, right? So what is this about?
Right, so this is Spectra's TerraPack technology. It was designed after the concept of a file cabinet, that if you pull a file cabinet out, you slide a drawer out and you can take a file out from anywhere in the file cabinet. And we've designed our libraries the same way, that instead of having just being able to take advantage of the square footage of the library and pick one tape at a time in the robot, our robot actually flips it on its side and pulls this whole drawer out. And you can see in here in the background, the robots move around carrying a pack of 10. What's advantageous to that is we get a lot more storage density per square foot of data center space, because the pack is grouping 9 or 10 tapes in a space where most libraries can only fit 2 or 3. And when it moves the tapes in the library, one robotic move moves 10 tapes throughout the library, so you can move all 10 tapes to the drive and get all this capacity up and spinning much, much faster. It can mount, put online, and take offline 9 of these cartridges, which is over 30 terabytes of storage in about 2-minute time frame. So that's a lot of capacity in a really short amount of time.
So these cartridges have some new technology in them as well, don't they?
They do. This is our newest addition to the tape library. It's the TS1140 tape drive technology and tape media technology. It's a product made by Fuji for the media and IBM for the tape drive, and it integrates into our systems as a higher capacity, higher throughput technology for real high performance systems, and can sit in the system along with LTO, which is the open lower cost standard. So depending on a customer's needs and as far as speed and availability and cost, we intermix the two in their systems to give them a choice of media options.
I seem to remember some talk about tape isn't just for archival anymore. Can you tell me more about that?
Sure. So tape has really moved into a role of not being just used for backing up files or archiving files off your primary storage, but in this market in particular, a lot of folks are using tape as their primary storage target, that the compute environment creates files after they've been modified or analyzed. They often are sitting in primary storage on tapes behind the customer standard file system. So sitting behind a Lustre or GPFS file system, typically for supercomputing, and you've just got a big storage unit. You have up to 3.6 terabytes sitting behind your standard file systems for storage. And it's done at pennies on the dollar of what it would cost to spin disk, heat, power, cool disk, and then just acquire the disk systems and keep them under contract.
No, not to geek out too much, but I remember this thing about the carbide cleaning, that you can go in there and take all the dirt out of these things to ensure that they're going to have the data integrity. How does that work?
Yeah, one of the concerns of tape over time is you store these cartridges potentially for years at a time, either in the tape library or sometimes off-site in a off-site facility like Iron Mountain. Yeah. And when the cartridges have been stored for 10 years at a time, they can be susceptible to environmental contaminants, dust, damage. And also when they're initially manufactured, there's a little bit of manufacturing dust that gets created on the media itself. What Spectra does is effectively has a cleaning cleaning process that will go through, pre-clean the tape for the customer so that their system doesn't have to do it in production. And then if it needs to have a cleaning after the fact, we can go back and do it again. So essentially it's housekeeping for your media. Sure. Doing it automatically instead of a person having to do it manually. And when you're talking about having hundreds of thousands of tapes, if you imagine taking each one of these and cleaning them manually, it's not possible. It has to be done by a robotic kind of automated system.
So just to change gears here a little bit, I want to talk about Active Archive, because you're the chairperson of the organization.
I am, yeah, chairman of the board.
So what is the objective of Active Archive?
So Active Archive has evolved over the last 2-3 years and really focusing on as exponential data growth, big data, cloud storage, all the different terms that are coming out around enormous volumes of data growth. How can you manage and access them more effectively? So what Active Archive is doing is moving it so that you can very seamlessly extend file systems out to whatever storage you have in the environment, have complete metadata around it so it's searchable, queryable, and you don't have to implement any users policies to have them take advantage of the system because you're using their standard file systems. Really the advantage is having an open way to make more data accessible with metadata created around it so that over time customers aren't just creating these huge amounts of data but can actually drive organizational value out of it 2 or 3 years from now or 10 years from now. Just storing data is interesting. Being able to drive business value out of it is much more interesting.